Ladies and gentlemen, they say good things come to those who wait. And I think we can all agree Tanley versus Garry Tonon is a very good thing indeed. We've got the champ, we've got the challenger. Let's start with you, Tan. How have you been since we last saw you mentally, physically? You feeling ready for this one?
Yeah, it's about time, huh? But yeah, feeling great. 100% physically, mentally. Uh, Gary's going to get the best of me, and I hope I get the best of him. So,
Garry, how have you been doing with this time waiting? Have you been sharpening? What have you done with this time?
Yeah, man. I mean, it kind of started off like just preparing for Thon, and then, I mean, we've had over a year now. So at this point, I mean, I've just been trying to get better as a whole in MMA this entire time. Of course, the entire time preparing for Thon. But it's been, it's one thing to have an 8-week fight camp to kind of get ready for an opponent. Once you have like a year-long span, I mean, you got to start thinking, bigger picture than that. So I think I'm about as adequately prepared for a single fighter as I could possibly be with that amount of time. And also just managed to gain some new skills and stuff like that I needed to add to my arsenal just all around as a fighter.
Tan, this is your first fight since 2020 when you beat Martin Nguyen. You had some injuries. Has this helped you in some ways kind of rejuvenate a little bit? And are you also thinking big picture now?
yeah, absolutely. I think the interesting thing about this matchup is, Gary's got a strong suit, and that's on the other side of the coin is my strong suit. So since the beginning of my career, I've been trying to fill that gap as best as possible and become a well-rounded fighter, just like all of us are. And Gary's doing the same thing on the flip side of the coin. So it's kind of a similar situation, right? Like, obviously, to make me better as a fighter as a whole, I've got to fill in some gaps that I feel that need to be as high as they need to be so I can be the best in the world. And that evens me out on the grappling side, the wrestling side, the cage wrestling side, things like that. But that also helps me in this fight versus Garry. So me as a whole, being my ideal perfect fighter, pushes me in that direction. And then matching up against this guy pushes me in that same direction. So it kind of works out really well. And I know it works on the same way on the flip side of the coin, just like Garry just said. So yeah, it's more time is the only negative thing is I haven't fought and gotten paid. But other than that, it's been excellent as far as skill building, camp, training, film review, knowledge, all that good stuff. So we do this because we're martial artists and we love to train and we love the art. And my goal is to become the best fighter I could possibly be. So the more time is always good.
Garry, for a guy who transitioned from jiu-jitsu to MMA, your striking has been damn impressive. You talked about in the past how when you prepare for a guy like Tan, you end up, that skill set ends up building so much. So how pleased are you with your striking right now? Like how deadly has that become in this past year?
Man, I'm really happy with it. I feel about as confident as I've ever felt in my striking. The way that we started things off when I first started preparing for MMA was just kind of in the context of, okay, Garry, you have these skills, which are, you're able to take somebody down, you're able to submit them, right? These are the skills you already have, right? And how are we going to best utilize that to win fights while still building new skills, right? Because if I just said to myself, like, all right, we're just going to become like a pure striker, it would be kind of crazy because it was just something that I didn't have. It would be like starting from scratch. So you kind of say to yourself, it's like, okay, well, let's see what we can do, what kind of tools we can use to learn how to use this striking to kind of get to what you're already good at. And the further along the journey that I go, it's less just about that. Of course, we still do that. It's less just about that and now more about precisely putting together the pieces of the puzzle involving striking. So it was an evolution from like, hey, bare minimum to win a fight to, being the most dangerous Garry Tonon that I can be.
Tan, last time you guys did this, I believe Garry said that he envisions a second round rear naked choke. Have you ruminated on that? What did you make of that prediction? And have you got a prediction of your own?
No, I was really surprised that he thought he was going to win the fight and submit me. Now I'm joking. Now, obviously, I understand where he's aiming. I like the prediction. Obviously, we're trying to battle that and go on the opposite side of the coin. So I think we're going to go later into the fight. I think we're going to go fourth, early fifth. And I see me knocking him out.
Garry, are you sticking with your prediction from last time?
Yeah, fairly. I think I might have given like another prediction. You know, you get interviewed a million times, right? So I never know which one, you know, which way I'm feeling that particular day. Yeah, somewhere around like second to third round. I will say this, you know, we talk about like how much I've gotten the opportunity to tape study and you know, vice versa, my opponent. You know, the times that I've seen Thon struggle for a round, he was able to come back immediately the next round. So I don't see this as being like a situation where I dominate him for a round and then he's just gassed and doesn't have anything left for me. You know, so I think, you know, talking about maybe round 3, 4, you know, a little bit later might be a more accurate prediction than like a round 2, you know, I mean, unless, you know, you kind of get, surprise him with something and get through the defenses to get to the submission. So yeah, I could see something like that. He's definitely a durable guy.
It's such a fascinating clash. We talk so much about styles, but Tan, how important is that first round to you and downloading Garry's style and really understanding how he's going to approach the fight?
Yeah, I think it's important for every fighter. So, which means it's definitely going to be important for me. It's definitely going to be important for Garry. Just to try to get a track on my timing. I'm going to try to get a track on his timing, his movement. You know, he's got a different feel than I'm used to seeing. Obviously, I've got a different feel than he's used to seeing. So that's what round 1 is usually for the guys that are martial artists that don't walk in there and kind of throw caution to the wind and you know, try to go in there and just have a bang fest. You know, he's a calculated dude. I'm a calculated dude. We've got good camps, smart guys helping us. We're relatively smart guys, I'd say myself. So it's going to be a chess match, right? We're going to have that back and forth, trying to measurement, timing, distance, all that good stuff. I think that's always a good thing if you're that type of fighter. And then if you're the less skilled fighter, you're looking to kind of make it a little dirty, a little messy, a little brawly. That's neither one of us, our style, I'd say. So you're going to see, I think, a little development in that first round, but it's important for both of us. It's what we do with that information that's going to make a big difference, right? Obviously, I'm confident what I would do with that info. I know Garry's confident what he's going to do with that info, so that's why we're fighting, because I think I'm going to do better, and he thinks he's going to do better. So obviously I'm excited and interested to kind of let that play out. But it's cool to have that striker versus grappler. We're both on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and we're trying to mold that to the middle so we can bring that person into our realm and kind of get that opening, take advantage, capitalize. But it's not that traditional striker versus grappler old school matchup, which it has that old style versus style feel, but it's like a hybrid twist to it. It's like an upgraded armor suit for Iron Man or whatever. You've got, you know, he can grapple at the highest level, but the man can strike a little bit, you know, and I can strike at the highest level, but I can grapple a little bit. So it's going to be really interesting to see this play out, old school with a new twist on it.
Sometimes you look forward to something so much and it doesn't deliver on your expectations, but in this case, Tan Le fights don't go the distance. You know, you're a finisher. Garry's also a finisher. He's also undefeated. So, Garry, does this have the makings of a classic for you?
Oh, yeah, of course, man. I think that, you know, like you mentioned with the whole striker versus grappler matchup, what's so interesting when you have a style versus style fight is that there's such an easy argument to be made in either direction for this person's going to get submitted or this person's going to get knocked out, right? And it's what makes it so exciting. You know, you can't really. It's hard to really pin down when you got two guys that are relatively well-rounded fighters and you've seen them fight a bunch. You can usually have a pretty good idea. You're like, he's better. This guy's better. You know. But here it's like, oh well, he's better there. He's better there. You just have no idea. But yeah, I definitely think this fight is going to deliver on some level of excitement because you know, on one side or the other, somebody's getting surprised. You know, whoever thinks that. I'm going to get knocked out or he's going to get submitted or whatever the case may be at the end of this fight, like somebody's going to be very surprised by the result.
Tan, we know that you train with Ryan Hall. How significant is it to have him to try and solve the Garry Tonon puzzle?
I don't know if I would word it that way, but I would definitely put a ton of respect in that direction, a ton of knowledge gained from that side of things, because Ryan has been such a huge part in my martial arts career, and I've tried to contribute to his as much as possible and try to have that symbiotic relationship there. But we've been good friends for a while, since we've been on the Ultimate Fighter together, so it was it kind of worked out nice that he, if you zoom in, they don't grapple similarly at all, but if you zoom out enough, they've got similar ideas and attacks and approaches, I guess, because good approach is good approach, good tactics is good tactics. So the understanding of the martial art itself on the grappling side of things is something that's very important, and Ryan has helped me with so much. He's helped me with my striking so much. But yeah, it's definitely a huge advantage to have a buddy of mine that is also really, really, really good. So it's nice. Yeah, I mean, it's I guess the responsibility doesn't fall on Ryan to show me how to beat Garry, right? Because it just doesn't work like that. My brother can tell you exactly how to beat me, but executing that in the cage is a lot harder than the knowledge itself. So it falls on us. It falls on Garry to build his striking. It falls on me to build my grappling. And can I do enough to win this fight? Can he do enough to win that fight? And, I think yes. What
about you, Garry, in terms of preparation? Have you brought in anyone special to try and mimic Tan's style?
You always try, to the best of your ability. I have a very small training camp, so I usually, regardless of like who I'm fighting, or even if I'm even if I'm not in camp, I'm usually having to bring guys in and out. Yu Ting Hong's my main training partner, and he's been great. He's got a very adaptable style, but I bring a bunch of different guys in from New York. Andre Feely has come down a few times, a very talented striker in the UFC. Not particularly the similar style to Thon, but just a very articulate, intelligent fighter who's kind of able to break things down, has been able to help me, here and there. I also have a guy named Nick Perazio, who is like kind of just like a little karate style kind of guy, a little smaller than me, but bounces in and out really well, throws a lot of kicks, So I have a few guys that have given me those looks, and we've obviously all kind of sat down with John, studied, Thon's tape, and just kind of tried to mimic to the best of our ability what we believe that kind of fight situation is going to look like, regardless of the style of the particular fighter. I even got an opportunity to spar once with Raymond Daniels. He's down in Texas now as well. So that was pretty cool. Got a nice spinning side kick to the liver, which was awesome during sparring. So some sparring sessions better than others, but yeah, man, I've had an opportunity to bring some people down that mimic that kind of in and out, that darting kind of style, which is cool. Of course, just like Thon mentioned, it's never quite a perfect replication of the person you're going to fight, but yeah, we did our best,
Tan, when you look at that top five, is Garry the toughest opponent for you, or is it somebody else?
I think it's different. Dangerous, tough, 100%. I think if I had to pick out of that five who to fight, it's going to be Garry first. And we all know why. He's very, very dangerous. He brings a specialty in there that I don't possess, so it's awesome. Like, I've talked about this with you guys before, is the reason I do this sport is not just to become champion. It's not to make a lot of money. It's to be the best fighter I could possibly be and fight the biggest and baddest dudes. This is a huge threat. That is an obvious alert when you look at this matchup, right? So that's what wakes me up in the morning. That's why I do this. I want to fight the best guys. If I could, we joke about this, I can use this belt, power for good or evil. I can use it to kind of coast and get as many wins and fights under my belt as possible, and maybe build a little legacy or whatever, and try to hang on to that, and maybe some people will talk about me in the future. Or I can fight the biggest and baddest dudes and lose the belt this fight or next fight or the fight after that. I don't care. I'm trying to fight the best guys because I do this for me. I don't do this for anything else. And I think that's what makes me really, really dangerous.
You got the belt, or Tan's got the belt. Garry, do you see him as the best fighter in the division?
Yeah. So it's a lot of what he said. It's tricky because like with everybody with different skill sets, different tools, and like different dangers. I don't know there's just kind of different threats to deal with. Like, for example, obviously I'd been looking at Martin for the longest time because he was the one holding the title for so long. And he's just got that dangerous, rear hand, that overhand, right? And like, I mean, that just puts your lights out, right? So like, there's like regardless, it's kind of like that. I don't know, that idea that like at any moment, if this one thing lands, like it's just over, it's a kind of a crazy thing. And this one thing that this person is really, really good at, right? And like, Thon just has different tools in his tool belt to make that happen, right? I think that Thon is probably the most, what would be the right word for this? I think he's probably maybe the most intelligently put together fighter in the division in terms of like his precision and the way that he's trying to set things up. I see other guys that are skilled and they're tough and they have a lot of dangerous tools. But this is a person who's I believe is very calculated and sharp, understands what he's doing, has a high ring IQ or fight IQ, whatever the case may be. And he's going to be reading me the entire fight. This is a person who's paying attention to what's going on and changing as the fight is going on, measuring, doing all the things that he needs to do to try to improve even as the fight is going. Not everybody has that ability. Not every fighter can do that. Some fighters, they go in and from round one, they're just as dangerous as they would be in round four. I don't think that Thon is that kind of fighter. I think that he builds as the fight goes on because I think he's very smart and I think he's thinking about what he's doing. Whereas some of these guys just go in with the raw materials that they already have and they're like, okay, we're just going to execute. And that's that,
Ton, there seems a level of respect there. Like you guys might be friends if you didn't have to fight each other. Are you aware that maybe this is the start of some kind of rivalry that you might have to face each other again in the future? We talk about a classic. If we look at the division, this might come around again. Is that something that's crossed your mind?
Honestly, I've focused more, and this might be a little cop-out, but I focused more on the other side of things. I get to go in there and knock him out Friday, or he gets in there and chokes me unconscious Friday, and then maybe later I reach out and we can go train together. But, I'm always looking to be the best version of myself, and I don't hold grudges for anything. And we're in there doing a job because we're both really good and dangerous mixed martial artists and martial artists in general. But yeah, who knows? A rivalry, I don't know about that. They usually don't do rematches on a finish, and this ain't going to decision, so y'all can figure that part out.
This is something that I'm interested in for both of you. We've seen somebody like Rainier Derrida. He wants to make up for lost time. He wants to have a season. He's taking a grappling match. He wants to fight for 3 belts. Do you feel similarly that you want to make up for lost time? Do you have a plan for this year, Garry?
Interesting. Make up for lost time. I mean, I don't really feel, I don't know. I'm 30 years old. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily young for this game, but I feel like I have a decent career ahead of me, a decent amount of time, especially the way that I fight, I believe is an intelligent and safe way of fighting, so long as I keep my skills up and I'm doing the things that I need to do. I think I have a lengthy career ahead of me if I so choose. I don't really feel like time was lost, per se. Like I mentioned, like having a year to prepare for this and to just become a better fighter was just used to become a better fighter. Like I said, yeah, do I want there to be a year or more between every fight that I have? No. I definitely would want to have, more fights. So in a way, would I want to pick up the pace and start fighting more? Absolutely. It's definitely something that I'm interested in because, we don't have all the time in the world. But I don't feel like it was a waste, for example, the amount of time that I've had to prepare in this way. Sometimes when there's a layoff and there's not just a body in front of you, somebody that you're preparing for, it's a little easier to more broadly skill build. I know it's a little different with this because I did have a person in front of me, but the date just kept getting moved, right? So it's a little different. But still, I feel like a much better fighter. So, I definitely want to get into it. There's also a competition in Jiu-Jitsu, ADCC, that's like kind of like our Olympics that's coming up this year as well. So if I could find a way to squeeze that in to my MMA schedule, I'd like to do that. fighting comes first, though, ultimately, especially, trying to fight for a championship belt at the point that I am in my career. That's got to be priority number one. So we'll see if we can win 2 world titles, so both grappling as well as mixed martial arts.
Tan, right now, all bets are off. We've got submission grappling super fights. We've got mixed rules fight between DJ and Rod Tang. What's your big focus? You've spoken before about 2 divisions. What's your plan for the year? What's your ambition at the moment?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of the lost time, I agree with Garry and the way he has his mindset wrapped around that. I like it a lot. I feel the same way. I do want to stack some fights up back to back, though. I would like to get in there. Shit, if something happens and God willing, we get in there and get out of there unscathed, and it happens to work out well for us, and I'll stay in Singapore. We can send the next guy and I'll knock him out too. I want a quick turnaround on this next fight, if it's possible, if I'm medically okay, physically okay, obviously, and I want to rattle off a lot of fights. Obviously, I'm not getting any younger. Gary's got some time. He's 30. I'm 36 now. Which I feel like I'm 14 and up here, but a lot of time to develop skills, and now it's time to execute on those and just rack these wins up, make a little bit of money. Obviously, that's always a good benefit, but getting these matchups against these really good guys, I have to take advantage of being at the top, not like clout-wise or anything like that, but knowing that I'm going to get the best matchups every single time, and the ones I prefer, and I don't shy away from the ones, obviously, the ones that are dangerous and the ones that could end my reign. So I'm going to use this, power for good and get these fights back to back to back, try to rattle off as much of wins as possible. After that's, in that skill, mindset, I should say, I'd like to move up to lightweight. I want to take a look at, Christian. I've been eyeing him up for a really long time. He's a extremely well-rounded, great fighter. Obviously, he lost the fight, which I don't know if I completely agree with that decision. That's got some controversy behind it. But Oak is an excellent fighter as well, very dangerous as we saw. So that's something that I want to do. I want to move up. I want to go get that belt from those guys, one of those guys, obviously. Have those 2. I've explored the idea of trying to go down to bantamweight, but that's not going to happen with my body structure and where I'm at right now. But we need to, I'm going to put it out there. We need to go and do these cross-promotion fights. We need to go find these other champions and bring their ass here, and we need to test who is the best fighters on the planet. We need to stop this, I've got my champ over here, you got your champ over here, but, I think on paper this guy would win. Let's test that out. And if we need to do it without that one guy, that one organization that doesn't want to take part, we do it without him. We bring the rest of the champs in here, we do fights, and we cancel out, we knock these guys off, and we figure out who the best in the world is. And if they want to throw their name in the hat, then cool, so be it. But if not, we know who the best is, and we're going to prove it. And I think ONE Championship has that.
Gentlemen, some fascinating points today. We cannot wait to see you back in the circle. Great to see you as ever. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.